While you consider whether and to what extent robotic caregivers are similar to human ones, let's hear how science approaches essential human nature. Augustin Fuentes, professor of anthropology at Princeton University, starts us off.
If you ask yourself what makes us human, I think you already know the answer. The ability to ask that question, the diverse suite of resources that you bring to bear in that reflection, and basically the fact that you live your life from a day to day basis interacting with other humans. So, the wonderful thing about asking the question, what makes us human, is that all the evidence is there right in front of us in our lives, in our bodies, in our experiences. But what's more challenging then is to how to apply this insight to things like medicine and science and basically navigating all of the complexities that we find in our societies.
For another take on what makes us unique, we turn to Megan Peters, associate professor of cognitive sciences at the University of California, Irvine.
I think that most people would agree that language is one of the things that makes us uniquely humans. There are multiple schools of thought about the relationship between language and other components that might make us uniquely human. There are some people who argue that language is for thought, and there are others that argue that language is a consequence of thought. And so the question is whether language is an integral component of the way that we think, the way that we solve problems, the way that we interact with each other and with the world. And there are others that say, no, we do all of those other amazing, intelligent things independently of language, and language is just a reflection of the capacities that make us uniquely human. There are other folks who think that maybe the ability to see very big patterns, sometimes called compositional reasoning. Essentially, think about this as you can see the gist. You don't get stuck down in the trees. You can see the forest for what it is. You can put together patterns of patterns, that some of those capacities might be uniquely human. This is an ongoing and thriving area of research. Ask any intelligent scientist, and you will get a different answer.
Professor Peters considers language, as we use it, a uniquely human capacity. But whales, dolphins, and even songbirds have language of sorts. Peter Ulrichsee, professor of cognitive neuroscience at Dartmouth College, suggests that we have the unique thought processes behind our language.
The life of a chimpanzee or bonobo now is roughly the same as it was 100,000 years ago. So, yes, they do seem to use tools. However, we seem to reinvent our world almost on a yearly basis. Chimpanzees and bonobos don't invent airplanes. And then the question is, why are they not able to? Well, I think they lack our kind of imagination. So our imagination is incredibly powerful. It's really our most important and most powerful tool and our most important deadly weapon. I suspect that it had something to do with the evolution of tool use, where we had to internally model what we would do before we did it. There are other things that make us different from a chimp, like fire use and certainly language. But I don't think it's consciousness per se that separates us from a chimp. But we have, in addition, a kind of second order consciousness that is layered on top of that, which is the domain of the imagination.
Professor Fuentes introduces us to an idea that goes beyond the making of tools, and is something about creating shared meaning, in things he terms symbolic artifacts.
What's even more impressive is this pattern that we see over the last few 100,000 years of earlier human groups coming together around a particular object or even maybe a particular place and working together to assign that place meaning or to sense a meaning from that place. And to have that meaning, that symbolic sense, really affect the way they are in the world, the way they see the world, and the way they see each other. This capacity to insert meaning or derive meaning from the world is a powerful human process.